Tonight you'll have opportunity to meet members of a Chicago street gang known as the Puerto Rican Stones, who echo the problems not so unique to the West Side community.
During the past few weeks, gang violence in Chicago has exploded on almost every street corner on the northwest and near northwest sides of the city. Tonight we're going to ventilate some of the problems and issues that gangs are talking about and the inability of the general public to understand these issues. With me tonight are two members of the Puerto Rican Stones, and also Ken Goldberg, who is executive director of a local organization called Local Motion. Gentlemen, welcome to Common Ground. I might set this up in this fashion by saying to you, in the conversation that you and I had, Ken, some days ago, we talked about the possibility of attempting to utilize the television cameras and this broadcast in particular as a common ground, and that is not said with pun intended, for two warring factions on the north side of Chicago to come together and actually sign, if not only if not in writing, but at least a verbal peace treaty. The obvious has happened. One side has not arrived here today. The point I think that we can give to the general public is an understanding of why gangs exist, and from their own mouths, what they consider themselves as people on the street. Let me tell you what the general population thinks of you. I'll start with you. A woman walking down the street sees you coming the opposite way, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and she's got her purse in her hand, and she's going on her little merry way. She's saying you're going to rip her off. A woman or a man walking down the street seeing you, they're going to say, you're going to try to rip me off. And therefore, you're bad, and I don't like you, and what I'd like to see is that you put in jail for the rest of your life, and I don't want to have anything else to do with you. How do you respond?
Well, I don't think that that's like, if they get a viewpoint like that of us, they should get it from everybody else, because I don't see what's the difference, really, in the appearance.
Well, we pick up the newspaper and we see where the insane unknowns and Puerto Rican Stones have been fighting each other, and a number of people have been left dead. There's a difference. Ken?
Well, there's what he was saying about why should somebody see him differently. I mean, it's become a young Latino thing in the north side and on the west side. There's a certain way that they carry themselves, a certain appearance that they have, but most of the friction that's involved, most of the conflict is between their own peer group. It's done with other gangs, kids the same age. For one reason or another, they're bought into it. Gangs do not set out to terrorize the community or intimidate the general populace. They set out to do that to their own peer group. So their perceptions are not, a gang member, the average gang member, is not concerned about how the community at large is seeing them. They're not doing anything for the community to pay them any attention as far as they're concerned. They're focusing in on other clubs or on their own friends, and it's how they're perceived by them. And when you walk the streets of Chicago, it's much easier to walk them if you look like you're somebody that shouldn't be messed with. So I even sometimes cultivate an appearance. If I walk into a strange group of guys, I have a job to do. I have to communicate with them. First thing I'm concerned about is my safety. I don't want to get jumped on. If I come in looking like somebody, that the first thing you want to do is hear what they got to say before you go up the side of his head. And then if they still decide to do that, well, that's another story. But you have to cultivate an appearance, and it becomes part of your peer group. You are natural in it. If you've got a leather jacket on, if you've got sunglasses on, if you've got an afro, or if you've got your hair slicked back, wherever you are, you appear the way you're comfortable being. It serves two purposes. It's your own style, but it's the style of being in the street, the style of letting people know, hey, back off from me. I'm nobody to mess with. And that's how they, and the community sees that from their windows and says, wow, I don't want to get caught in an alley with him.
Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay, I used to be
a stone. I was a stone for a long time. And in the neighborhood when we, hung around and grew up, people weren't afraid of, like, what you said, walk down the street and getting ripped off. And, they could walk down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd be hanging around. They know what we'd be about,
Not going to bother anybody.
No, they know we weren't going to go out there and kill fire. As a matter of fact, we had some of our friends that were the older people, They used to say that it was all right us hanging around there because, like, since we knew them and everything, they say that they feel all right if their wife or their daughter or somebody was walking down the street. They know we weren't going to bother them and let anybody else bother them, That wasn't our bag. It was just jumping little old ladies and rip them off and stuff like that. We never had nobody in the clubs when I was in there that would do anything like that. We didn't want to have nothing to do with people like that.
Why did you join the gang? Why did you feel the necessity?
All right, see, a club, the way we began, okay, it was just a group of friends, right? We hung around. We grew up together, from we were little kids. And we sort of got pushed into it, you understand? Pushed? Yeah, okay, other gangbangers would come around the neighborhood, and they start, pushing you around and stuff, trying to abuse you, somebody, sooner or later said, well, we're going to put a stop to this, so, we decided to make our own thing, get our own thing going, and that's where we originated the Stones, and, started, doing a little pushing back of our own.
Okay, what about yourself?
Well, I go along with what he said, but in like, when it started out like that, I figured that what you really want to know is, like, how you get into it at first, how, the games came about, like. The way I figure it, it started with racism, and stuff like that.
Racism?
Yeah, way back. Because, I remember, the reason they started was, like, in that time, there wasn't too many Latinos up in that area. And, at those times, it used to be, like, the white people against the Latinos and, back and forth. And, like, since we used to go to school there, and, like, they used to go to school, they grew up over there in the neighborhood. And, there wasn't too many Latinos, so, they all just hung together, And then, like the other people, it came about like that. But nowadays, you see that, there's, Latins fighting against Latins, but, the way it was, was just like racism at first. That's how you became, then you called yourself something.
The reason that we are showing the back of your head and not the front of your face, why don't you give us some explanation of why we can't bring these cameras around and point it in your face and say, here's a person talking, and we want to name the individual, and here he is, and he's saying what he has to say. Why do you have your back to the camera?
Well, I got several reasons. I don't feel that it's necessary. We just here rapping on what's going on, and other people got different views of what's happening right here, right now,
Do you feel that you are in danger, and if your face were turned around, that would cause somebody to be upset enough with you that they would want to put a small hole in you?
Not really, because what I really mostly like what you said, people right now, like just by knowing what I am, what you're saying right here, right now, they get different views of what's going on, And I like to do, I think of myself, I just like to, I play everything safe, so,
You just playing safe.
And, not towards other people in games, because, that's, the less I want to deal with, but, police and stuff like that, and, things like that, they don't really, people don't know what's happening in the games, They don't, they don't know what's really to it.
Well, tell the public what is happening. If you had to give them a clinic, and you're now the teacher, and you're going to tell them, what the other side says about you. What do you guys say about yourselves? How do you justify your not existence, but your activities on the street? Kids are being killed. It isn't just one person. If a youngster gets killed, there's a father, and there's a mother, and there's brothers and sisters and other relatives who find themselves very sorrowful because their kid is away, their kid is gone.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm the father, or I'm the brother, or I'm the mother, or I'm the cousin of that person, man, I got to tell you, depending on where I am with the law, I'm either looking for you, or I got somebody else looking for you, or I got the police looking for you. And you're going to tell me that the gangs are okay and there's nothing wrong with them, and it's just some guys meeting each other and bopping a little bit on the street. But it isn't like that. The newspapers are full of the violence that you guys are perpetrating on each other. As you said yourself, Puerto Ricans fighting Puerto Ricans. That's not racism. Blacks fighting blacks. It's not racism. What is it? Ken, you want to help out here?
Well, I think, some of that, what he was saying about racism and clubs coming together for a reason. These kids are out there. The environment is right for it. It's an alternative, like going to the playground and playing basketball is an alternative. What you want to do. Games are one way of having a social life. You come together, you got your partners with you. Now, that's your first level. Your second level is now that you're a group of guys hanging out in the streets of Chicago, somebody somewhere along the line is going to come and challenge that. They're going to challenge your right to be out there. And the only way you can keep your corner or keep your rights to whatever you want is to fight back. Because the situation's already set. Any kid that's grown up now in Chicago, in the inner city, has to buy into that. That either they're going to run alone and they're going to go where they want to go and they're going to be very mellow with a lot of people and ease their way through the streets without any hassle, or they're going to have a set group of friends that has a set group of enemies already who just want to move into their turf, and they're going to have to defend that. And when they agree to be a part of that group, they agree to defend that area, they agree to back up the other members of their club, their gang, they buy into something, and it's like having your own country, your own group. I mean, you've got things that represent you. Now, it escalates from just being a social group. So now you've got your colors that say, this is our corner. Not only do we not want to be bothered, but we want you to know we're here, and we want you to know you can't bother us. That if you come and you mess with us, there's going to be some paybacks. So they begin to escalate, and they begin to have a firmer identity.
Okay. I can buy the concept of these two guys belonging to a group of guys in a community where there's somebody else messing with you. But if you come into the community and you're not bothering anybody at all, you want to go see a girl who happens to live in that area, these guys are going to jump on you. Now, that's reality. You're saying no?
No.
Come on, now that's happened too many times.
But it's not the same with everybody, Because, let me tell you, when I used to be hanging around in the neighborhood, and I was in the zone, like what you said about a girl, there used to be some other club members that would come into the neighborhood to visit their girls,
Yeah.
And they come representing their sweaters and everything, you know what I mean? And okay, we look at them, we wouldn't jump on the dude. At first, we didn't jump on the dude because, hey, everybody, as long as the dude wasn't bothering nobody or not, didn't matter to us, he wasn't bothering us. That was the main thing. We didn't care if he came in there naked,
See, the thing is, it's like it's just things change, It's like, right now, this and that, and this goes, and, everything changed like that. Before, like, what he's trying to say, before, like, in gangbanging and gang involvement, there was, like, rules, Not, that everybody knew, like, before they used to respect you. Like, if you were, even if you just, the next, if you had, just had done, something to somebody else, and they just got, they got you, there was a time where, like, you could be with a girl, and they'd have, they'd have to let you go. They'd respect you, They'd probably tell you this and that, we'll get you later, and this and that, And there was such a thing that, when you were with your parents or something like that, or never mess with your house, but, things change. Before it used to be baseball bats, and, knives and bricks and stuff like that, and now, people just, see it's cheap to get a gun. You could get them anywhere. They're around, Probably, too much television and stuff.
Too much television. How do you mean, too much television?
You be watching TV and everybody sees it. You're seeing these things. If you want to shoot somebody, then, you go buy a gun. It's so easy to get a gun. You get it. And, you find out that, it's easier, than baseball bats. Some people feel, I'd rather just shoot them than just, go over there and fight with them like a man, It just gets like that. It goes. It changes with time, Before it was rare to find a gun in a game, maybe 1 or 2 of the members had one. But now, you know, almost everybody got 3 or 4. And, you know, that's why, you know, and people just, you know. And then once, I don't know where it started, but once somebody got killed, you know, before just getting hurt, nobody. But then the people, they feel, you know, too much pride, you know.
And they got to go back and retaliate.
Yeah, because even not even if, you know, the pride, even if, you know, if you weren't a gang member, you just moved away. Like, you see the way things happen, how they kill the people for no, you know, for stupid reasons. Your best friend, you grew up with them and stuff like that, you know, you feel, damn, you know, that's no good. You just want to do something, you know, about that.
Let's take a break. We'll be back right after these messages. Ken Goldberg is the executive director of an organization called Local Motion. And there are 2 young men with him who are members of the Puerto Rican Stones. I guess I should say former in your case. And we were talking about some of the issues that gang members see it from their point of view. And I am specifically allowing and providing the opportunity for these young men to say, in the fashion that they believe is their rationale for being out on the streets. Now, you said, Ken, you wanted to take up on it because I got some questions to ask about this scenario after you finish.
Well, what he was saying about the rules are broken down. It's become easier to shoot somebody with a gun. It's also become easier to get a handgun. The values that most of the young people are growing up with is that life is cheap. It's cheap in a number of ways. You can pick up the newspaper and very casually read about any number of people being murdered or hurt. You can turn on the TV. You can see people getting popped left and right. Any station you turn to, and you can go out in the streets and experience it firsthand. So you begin to believe that. You begin to believe that you know, life is cheap, and they act out accordingly. So that to kill another gang member is condoned. It's not a matter of taking a human life. It's a matter of it's a war, and that's what they're fighting. When they're shooting at other clubs, there's a war going on, and the same rules that apply in any other war that any other country is going to fight applies there. The enemy is there to be gotten. These kids, my experience dictates that these kids are nothing but a reflection of what's going on out there in the real world. And I find that they really, a lot of times, many of the kids in the club think that they are really outside the mainstream of society. They're really outlaws, so to speak. But if you look closely, they're not. They're just another distortion of what's happening out there. I mean, that's the way it's going. It's escalating, and they're buying into it, and it's okay, because it's already been implicit approval to do these kinds of things.
Implicit by who?
Implicit by the media, implicit by the government. The government declares, undeclared wars it fights in other countries. We have our reasons for it, but the bottom line is we kill people. The government condones the murder of thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in other countries. Well, that same thing applies in the streets. It is okay to murder as many as you have to win your war here in the streets. The war is no different. Survival is an issue.
Well, let me try to point out some distinctions in that argument. I am not going to say that what you are saying is not reality in the minds of the young people that we are talking about. But let's just look at it from this fashion. If you and I, or the 4 of us, are sitting around playing Monopoly, we know we're playing Monopoly, and we've got play money that we're playing with. Now, none of us know, every one of us knows that, let's say that you win $4 million in Monopoly. You can't take that $4 million to the bank and put it in there. Everybody knows. I mean, if you walked into the bank teller and came up with $4 million in Monopoly money, he'd fall out on the floor laughing at you, or he'd get busy thinking that you were out of your mind or something. I cannot believe that these 2 young people, who represent a lot of other young people, believe that that's a microcosm of what reality is. You're talking about a Monopoly game that's ending up with people being killed. They know that that's not true. You mean to tell me that people believe actually that they're in an absolute war as we were in Vietnam?
Sure. Why not? You can get killed out there in the streets. happens all the time. People get blown away. Survival's the issue. You know, once you buy into the gang structure, survival is a very real issue, and anything you have to do to survive is legitimate.
Come on, let me hear from you. You heard what I said about it. You don't have to do that.
Well, yeah, I agree with him in a way, you know, because, you know, like you said, you are out there. And just being out there, you're automatically a target. You know what I mean? I mean, anybody, they know where you are. And then they just up and say, well, let's go over there, you know, and cap at them or something and see if we can shoot one of them down. So, you know, right there you're a target, and then, you know, they can just come by and talk to you.
You mean just because a guy wears another sweater, just because a guy is from another neighborhood, just because a guy doesn't live in the same place you live, you got off him?
You like everybody.
Not really. It's just a matter of respect. It's just a matter of respect, and
Everybody's got a different way of thinking, you know.
What kind of respect? What do you mean? I'm trying to understand that.
Report, you know, like since we live in this community, and we've been there for years, and we've been there, you know, on the corner, and, you know, we know the people around there and stuff, and then just other people just gonna come and start their graffitiing and stuff like that around the neighbors and stuff like that, and that's where they, you know, get a viewpoint at us as, you know, just bad people, you know, they just, you know, we're messing up their property and stuff like that, you know, for them, you know.
Think that's true?
That's true, but like I'm saying, they disrespected us coming in there and riding around there, you know. And the people know that we're the ones who bring that there, you know.
Yeah,
that's why mostly they don't dig. That's the only way they can come down on us, you know. If we're getting the community messed up.
Well, that's true though, isn't it? So if you weren't standing on that corner, the guy who owns that apartment building or whatever it is not going to have his apartment building written all over. Absent you from the place, the apartment building is going to be the same. Why shouldn't he be mad with you?
Okay, see, that's why they try to get everything straight. You know, we try to take care of
If you were standing on that corner is what you say, okay.
Yeah.
But see, okay, let's say like, okay, in our case, when we hung around, when we come out of the house, where will we go?
Mm-hmm.
To meet, you know?
That's real.
Know what I mean? Like, where everybody didn't go meet at the Lincoln Park or anything. Like, it had to go somewhere. Know what I mean? There wasn't nowhere else for us to go but that neighborhood because we grew up in that neighborhood. So we'd go there and just meet there and hang around there, drink some beer, whatever, you know, and just rap and mess around. Our intentions weren't to go bothering anybody or anything, you know?
Now, if the other gang came on, and we had a couple of them talking yesterday, they said the same thing as you guys said. Now, somebody's starting the fight. Somebody is creating the disturbance. Now, both sides says, we didn't have anything to do with that. It's those other guys that are doing it. Come over you say, it's those other guys that are doing it. See,
No,
they got a lot of young blood. Both of you all are participating in this process.
Hey, we
got a lot of young bloods that want to be bad, you know? They want to make a name for themselves. So in other words, like, okay, Tisha was a young blood, and you were supposed to be a heavy, so he wants you to think he's bad, so he goes out and does this, you know?
Yeah.
You know, he ain't going to tell you what he's going to do.
Reputation.
He'll go out and shoot somebody or something like that, so that you think, oh, he's tough, you know, he's a bad dude. So I mean, on the other hand, what you thinking, he's nothing but a chump, you know, he's stupid for doing stuff like that. But they think that they're doing something big, you know? They're going out and writing on a wall, then they go back and talk about, hey, I just went over to this neighborhood and messed it up and this and that, you know? It's supposed to be bad.
You know, you said that guns are easy to get, therefore it's very easy to kill people. Guns may be easy to get, but doesn't mean you got to buy one. I mean, guns. There's a lot of things that are easy to get. Where do you put personal responsibility? I mean, don't you feel responsible for yourself? Can't you say, well, just a second, because this is being done doesn't mean I have to do it.
Hey, there's always, you know, it's like the man said earlier. You know, you ain't muscled in this. It's what you want to do. Okay?
Exactly.
Okay, but some people, they're just going to look around and they just, you know, like they say, it's no choice. You know what? You know, this looks like this, so that's where the fun is at. You know?
I just can't buy that argument, Ken.
Because that's what I'm saying.
The government is doing something that is wrong, that somehow you abrogate your own responsibility for your personal self and say because so-and-so's doing something that you out of necessity got to do the same thing. That doesn't wash. It's illogical.
Permission and right are two different things. To have permission to do something doesn't necessarily mean it's right. To believe that what you're doing is okay. You know, gang members don't feel obligated to adjust to your ideas, they have their own thing to contend with. And that's you know, if the permission is already within them to do that, then they don't need you. They don't need you to condone their actions. All they need is their peers to agree that what they're doing is right or that what they're doing is necessary. And that's what motivates them. Now, it can be as off-key as possible, but what are you going to do about it? The situation's there. There's very little resources being pushed into to change attitudes. There's nothing spent. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get people in touch with their values. It doesn't happen very often in the educational system. It doesn't happen in recreational centers where kids go. People aren't approaching that. They're just, you know, hey, look, you need to adapt. You need to adjust yourself to the mainstream. You need to get in school. You need to get a degree. You need to get a job. They don't need any of that. They don't need to hear that. Once they've already decided that the streets are okay and that they buy into that way of life, then the rest doesn't have any...
It doesn't make any difference what anybody says. Tell me about school. Your experience in school. Did you do well?
Not really. I dropped out. I think it was 8th grade. And not because anybody made me or anything. It's just that, you know, like when, you know, this is when you're younger and, like I said, you see what's going on, your friends, and boom, you know, and, you know, the environment in the school really, you know, it ain't really what you want, you know? Mm-hmm. Okay, because like say you're over here, you consider yourself a gang member and, you know, you're supposed to be a bad dude and this and that, and you're young and stuff like that, and you don't want to sit there and listen to, you know, if you're over here fighting on the street with other people, individuals, you know, just because they're trying to tell you what to do, you know, because like I said, you know, gangs before was just used to be, you know, fist and baseball bats and something like that, you know, just a thing like that, like just a group of friends hanging together, just going around, like they say, bar hopping or something, you know, looking for trouble and stuff like that, but, you know, if they see you, they're just gonna, you know, I can't really explain.
What was your experience in school?
It's all right. Nobody bothered me. I went through my school.
Grammar school, high school, finished, school. How did you get through that maze of things? I mean, did you enjoy it? Did you figure it was a good? Was it a bad?
Oh, well, you know, like, hey, no, I went to school. What did I go to school for? Like, okay, I had my problems in school, you know. I dropped out, you know, and then I worked and that, you know, but eventually, you know, I just, you know, thought about it and I said, damn, this is going to be a trip if I have to do this all the time, you know. So I went back to school and I went back. I said, well, I'm going to finish this. I'm coming back, you know. So I just went back and I paid attention to what I was supposed to do and stuff, and I finished my school, you know. Nobody motivated me to, you know, nobody told me, you know, you're a square if you finish school or anything like that. I mean, you know, I just did my own thing, you know. I did what I wanted to do.
We hear about teachers having great influence over young people. That true? Were you ever motivated by a teacher?
Yeah. True. That's what I felt, you know. That's what I'm trying to explain. I mean, I feel if I'm over here on the street fighting with other people because, you know, I'm supposed to think that ain't nobody supposed to tell me what to do and what's happening, you know, I'm not going to sit here in this desk and just, you know, this lady, just because she's called my teacher, just going to come, or this man, and just, you know, tell me, you know, do this and do that, you know. So I figure, you know, why put up with it, you know, and to avoid problems, I just, you know, leave.
All right.
She had a lot of influence over me, you know, like she really helped me.
One teacher?
Because of so she talked to me and she told me, you know, she helped me sort of, you know, so she like made me see that, you know, I couldn't find an argument to tell her that I want to leave school, you know, so she really helped me out more.
She cared for you?
Yeah, to get through school, so I graduated, you know, I could really say I owe it to her because she's the one that really influenced me to finally get through.
Okay. We got about 5 more minutes to talk. And I'd like to hear that 5 minutes in terms of you saying to the general public what needs to be done. Let's hear it from your mouth. If you say this isn't happening and this isn't happening and this isn't happening and this is the reason all this is going on. All right, what needs to be done to alleviate or to stop what's going on now?
Well,
my point of view is, okay, a lot of gangbangers that are out there now, you know, they're out there because, you know, they ain't got nowhere else to say, like I said. Okay, in our case, we never had, okay, like other schools, they got a shelter house or, you know, some community thing where, like, if they could go and it would keep them more off the street. Know what I mean? Activities, right. You know, none of these guys that just come to the neighborhood and say, you guys want to play basketball for these guys or these other guys.
That's nothing. That's not.
They don't interest in that. You know, they just figure that, like, I mean, right now, you know, like I say, there's other schools that have gang members and that, and they have more or less, how you call it, a place to go to, which is shelter, you know. In other words, like if another club was looking for them, it'd be hard for them to get at them because they're there. So naturally, that makes that, you know, that takes care of that. If more gangbangers had that, you know, more activities, more places where they could go, more things like that to keep them occupied and other things, then, you know, it would be just a matter of, you know, getting,
what do you think's important?
Well, you know, there's a lot of our friends over there, you know, they feel, you know, and in the gang, you know, they can make money. You know, and, you know, because there ain't no jobs out there, you know, you just gotta...
You mean selling dope?
Not, you know,
That's the reality now.
Yeah, that's always, you know, reefer and stuff like that, but, you know, that's really what it is, you know. But, since there's no jobs...
You know, there's a statement... No, let me not. Go on, tell me.
So they just, you know, we just be out there. That's why there's only reason we're out there. Ain't nothing, like he said, ain't nowhere else, you know, nothing.
You know what the employer says? The employer says, I'm not going to hire you two guys. Why should I hire you two guys? Because you bring out the worst in everybody that's around. I'm not going to hire you gangbangers. Why should I put you in my plant? Why should I give you a job? First place, you're not going to come to work in the morning. Number two, when you come to work, you're not going to give me a day's work. If I say something to you, you go off me. So why should I even take a try at hiring you?
Oh, that's because he's just judging you by appearance. You know, he don't know what you could do. You know, like he could have some guys in there that have been working for 20 years and they just oaf, you know, they just produce a little bit and stuff like that. They don't really. And then he could hire you. You know, he knows maybe you need the money for something, or maybe you're really, really interested in working. You go in there and work with your coach inside of what.
So he should try to give you a job.
No?
Okay, you're a youth worker. You out there on the streets. What do you say is needed?
Well, a lot of money.
People, probably in the 60s, tons of money, millions of dollars was thrown into the community.
The people that are working with young people now, and there's a shortage of them, but they need to have an understanding of where inner city kids are coming from. What I was saying before about the values are different. You have to understand that if you're going to work with them. Doesn't mean you condone the values. It means you understand them, you can empathize with them, and you can relate to where they're coming from, and then to try to come up with the resources and the tools to direct their energies into other things. But that takes trained personnel to be out in the streets. It takes people willing to go out there, subject themselves to the kinds of hazards that you have when you hang out on the street kind of talking to the kids. And you have to have resources behind you someplace to back you up to channel these kids into. If you don't have places to go for jobs, if you don't have places to get counseling, if you don't have places to get information on drugs or any other things you might want to do for any one of these individuals, you need resources, and there's just not enough being pumped in the way of resources or in the way of trained personnel. The city, the government usually has very categorical money that you have to buy in, that this is a need and you're going to use that money only for that need. There's not a whole lot of just general purpose. Let's go out there and deal with the kids and take it from there. Get their input, get them involved in what you're doing, build their investment up so that they can go out and feel that they've done something for themselves. Nobody wants you to do anything for them.
See, you have said one thing, and I'm not trying to say that you have contradicted yourself, but it appears. You said if a youngster attracts himself to the culture of the streets, that set of values is what he's imprinted with, and he's got it, and that's the way he's going to react. Now, someone else comes with another value system. Get a job, straighten your act up, stop using dope, turn your guns in, get rid of all that stuff. I'm going to give you a job. That job's going to maybe pay you $150 a week, maybe $175 a week to begin with. Maybe you'll have a chance. They're going to do that?
Yeah.
Huh? You believe that?
I believe that.
Come on, it hasn't shown itself as being reality.
It's a whole re-education process. There's a whole lot of time that needs to be spent. I've been and the same street corners up to 3 years now, with very little signs of progress. But slowly but surely, I'm out there. People see how I deal with the world. People have an understanding what my values are. I stay within my value system, and they can see that I can be a role model. You know, I'm not into the system. I'm not out of the system. You know, I can give them resources that they're interested in, and it all takes time. There's a lot of guys out there, and they're being pulled on by their peers, and then they're being pulled on a bit by me. But over a period of years, you see changes. The Stones in particular have been talking about painting over the graffiti in their neighborhood. This means that they're going to be subjected to other clubs coming in saying, you're nothing. You know, we're going to just paint on here since you can't do it. No, they're going to paint over it, and they're going to have to deal with those consequences. That took a long time of sitting and talking about what that means and how they're going to deal with it when another club sees they've done that and wants to infringe on it.
If the scenario goes as the scenario has gone for 75 or 100 years in this country with gangs, these young people, or the people that they represent, will find their way into the court system. They will be arrested. They will find their way into the court system. The courts will condemn them. They will go to jail, and they will end up in Pontiac, Statesville prisons for a long, long time. The group that came before the people that are sitting here are there. Now the question is, are you too prepared to see that as a consequence in your life? If it happens to you, are you prepared to take that one
That's the first thing you know.
You got to be prepared for it?
Yeah, you know that. You know that. If you're out on the corner, you know you're ready to either get killed or to go to jail.
Then why do you stay on the corner?
Because it's something you believe in.
Is there any other alternative?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, you know, that you ain't got nowhere to go. That's all you know. That's the only thing you know.
Let me hear it from you. You prepared for that? You prepared for Pontiac, Statesville, a rap, either unfairly or fairly? And then I might say that there are times when it is unfair.
It's the name of the game, you know. I mean, you know, in other words, what other choice do you have? You know, what are you supposed to do? You know, just clear yourself, you know. And, you know, in a way, you know, you'd be coming out worse, you know. I mean, you know, okay, so, you know, you take a phony rap or whatever, but at least you know, you eventually will come out, and when you come out, you won't have no problems or nothing. On the other hand, you can come out and have somebody waiting there for you, you know.
There's a lot of ex-cons that have sat here and said that when they got out, they had a lot of problems.
That's
a lot more than when they went in. Huh?
That's true, you know, that's true.
And, well, there is no ending to what we are talking about, and we have tried to at least ventilate, and you have done it well, to a general population out there who may not understand who or what you are or what you are about. And I think you have said it, and said it very well. We're going to try our absolute best to see that maybe we can work out some negotiation that will not be some kind of cheap trick. Sadat and Reagan and Carter worked it out on national television, maybe international television. It seems to me that, and there's a line in a Broadway musical called Zoot Suit that said that's exactly what they want to see. Puerto Ricans killing Puerto Ricans. Maybe that's exactly what they want to see. Kids killing each other. Now, will you play that scenario out for them? Will you allow this to take place, or are there some other alternatives? I guess that's the question that you, as a youth worker, must address yourself to each day. Thanks a lot, Ken, for being with us. I guess I have to ask you, what were your thoughts on this?
Well, I appreciated this chance, a forum to talk about some of the reasons and some of the things that are needed. There's been a lot of focus on this problem, and not enough focus on how to deal with it, except through using. There's a whole other world, a whole other in conjunction.